Good morning, everyone. Good morning. You're all very welcome here to the Centre for Disability Law and Policy, to the 11th Summer School on International Disability Law and Policy. My name is Siobhan Mullally. I'm Professor of Human Rights Law and Director of the Irish Centre for Human Rights here at NUI Galway, and I'll be chairing today's sessions and moderating as well. So welcome back. I know there are a number of you who are returning again. We're delighted to see you. To those of you who are here for the first time, you're very welcome to Galway and to the Centre. This is one of the leading international disability law summer schools globally, now in its 11th year, and has established an important international reputation for contributing to law, policy and advocacy on disability law. So we're delighted that Galway is host to the summer school and that we have this opportunity to bring together such expertise in policy, in law reform, in academia, in activism from so many different parts of the world. I think there are more than 50 countries represented here for the summer school, so it's really a great privilege, and thank you to all of you who've travelled great distances and those of you closer to home also. I'm also a commissioner with the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission, and the Centre for Disability Law and Policy has been a really hugely important resource and support and centre of expertise in terms of informing our work, also with Ireland's recent ratification of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So I'm going to hand over now to the Director of the Centre for Disability Law and Policy, who I know is known to all of you. Professor Eleanor Flynn is established Professor of Law, a leading expert on disability law and policy, in particular on questions around capacity, law and reform. She's also just recently completed a European Research Council prestigious grant, ERC Voices project, which many of you may be familiar with also. Eleanor is the youngest ever recipient of a European Research Council award and has also just launched a new project on reproductive justice, on the rights of people with disabilities to reproductive and sexual health care and rights, and is also coordinating a European-wide PhD network on disability law and policy. As well as that, she's a leading published author on a whole range of issues around intersectionality, disability, capacity, law and reform. So, Eleanor, please.
Thank you very much, Siobhan, and welcome everybody to Galway, to the west of Ireland, to the edge of Europe. We're delighted to have you here for the week. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the theme that we chose for this week, and also about what we do here at the Centre and how the two things are connected. So, when we first sat down as a team to talk about what theme we might choose for this year's summer school, two of my colleagues, Sarah and Bo, suggested that we might want to focus on families. And at first I was really sceptical, because I sort of had this impression that discussions about disability and family are often centred only on the experiences of carers. And while that's really important, I didn't want that to be the sole focus of the summer school. And also, coming from an Irish context, which we do, there is a constitutional recognition of the family based on marriage in our context. And I worried that people's ideas about what we mean by the family would be very narrow and limiting rather than open and inclusive. But the more we discussed and the more I thought about the idea of family and how we need to recognise all different kinds of families, not just our biological families or our families of origin, the more interested I became in the idea. We started having conversations in the team about our chosen families, the deep friendships we have in our lives, our work families, which are each other, and the new families that we build for ourselves in our communities at different points in our lives. So at this summer school, we have made a conscious decision to interpret that concept of family really broadly, including our families of origin, as well as our families of choice, the communities where we feel we belong. Disabled people have often been denied rights to family life, including the right to marry and to form a family, the right to decide freely on the number and the spacing of their children, and the rights to privacy and independence with respect to family life. So this year's summer school will explore all of these issues, and throughout the week we will be reflecting on the ways in which disabled people and members of the LGBTQI community can learn from each other's work in securing the right to family life. So we've incorporated the theme throughout all of the sessions this week, and you'll see that in the programme, which my colleague Dr. Mullally will explain a little bit more. But we've also incorporated it throughout the artwork and exhibitions and other activities that are happening this week. So some of you who may have had breakfast here this morning may have noticed that in a space outside in the foyer, we have started to hang parts of an exhibition, which is taken from photographs that some of our speakers have generously shared with us of what family means to them. So I would really encourage you to take a look at that. We will be officially launching it tomorrow after the session is over, at the same time as the poster presentation is happening. But another piece of artwork you may have noticed on your way down the corridor here on the ground floor is some drawings that children in a local school had prepared for us. And children who were aged 6 and 10 in 2 different classrooms were asked to draw a picture of what family means to them. And they have drawn lots of really incredible things, and I would encourage you to check those out. I also want to make, I suppose, a personal note that this year is a very interesting time for me to be thinking about family. Since last year's summer school, my work family here at the CDLP has grown and will be growing even more in the coming year, as Siobhan mentioned, with new researchers coming to join us on the DARE project. And also, Siobhan mentioned the reproductive justice project that we have started. My colleagues Maria, Jenny and Anya work with me on this, and we are exploring the experiences of disabled people in Ireland in securing reproductive justice. So through oral histories, we are gathering and learning how many disabled people in Ireland have been denied the opportunity to parent, or have had their parenting scrutinised far more than their non-disabled peers, or have had their reproductive decisions, including accessing abortion, fertility treatment, or assisted reproduction denied on the basis of disability. So there's quite a lot of overlap between our current research here at the centre and the theme of this year's summer school. And on an even more personal level, my own family is expanding as I'm expecting my second child this October. So all in all, it's a very opportune time for me to be thinking about family together with you all at the summer school. So now I'll just say a few words about the centre. As many of you know, here at the centre, I would consider us a small but mighty family. We pride ourselves on being at the cutting edge of research and advocacy for disability rights. Our staff, students and alumni have been centrally involved in both the development of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and its implementation around the world. Some of you have been with us here many times before at summer school, and for some of you it's the first time, but whether you're a newcomer or an old friend, you're all equally welcome. The flags of the countries which our speakers and delegates represent are displayed on our table at the top of the room here, and each year we add new flags as we have people coming from countries which we haven't had before. This year, those countries include Jordan, Palestine, Kyrgyzstan and Guatemala. So many of those who have come to summer school at some point throughout the years have been inspired to return, not just to subsequent summer schools and also not just as delegates but as speakers, but actually to spend more time here, whether as visiting researchers or as students on either our master's or our PhD programs. So I'd encourage you that if you like what you hear this week, then definitely think about coming back and coming for a longer stay, either to study or to work with us. Despite the Galway weather, which I do apologise for, most of the students and staff who spend time here will tell you that the ideas, the networks and the friendships that they've formed here have stayed with them long after they leave. So as director of the centre, that's something I'm really proud of, and it's something that is one of my aspirations for our work. I hope that anyone who cares as much as disability rights as we do will find ways to work with us in Galway and find time to spend with us here. So this week is going to be fairly intense for you as delegates and as speakers, and even more for the incredible background team of CDLP staff, students and volunteers who keep this show on the road. But I always find it to be a really exhilarating time, a time that we find new ideas, we learn about new global developments, we make new connections and reconnect with those that we might not have seen for a long time or maybe even just since last year. There's always a new piece of legislation or an exciting grassroots action or an example of strategic litigation that I learn about during this week every year at summer school. And that gives me hope and energy that things can change, and I hope you find that same energy throughout this week. So I want to leave you with some thoughts about this kind of hope, and I'm going to share with you a series of statements from Rebecca Solnit's Hope in the Dark. Some of you might have heard me talk about this book before. And I really recommend it as a really good read for anyone, any kind of activist from any social movement. So here are some things that Rebecca has said. She says, people have always been good at imagining the end of the world, which is much easier to picture than the strange sidelong paths of change in a world without end. You may be told that the legal decisions lead the changes, that judges and lawmakers lead the culture in those theatres called courtrooms, but they only ratify change. They are almost never where the change begins, only where it ends up, for most changes travel from the edges to the centre. She says also, and this is one of my favourites, hope is not a lottery ticket that you can sit on the sofa and clutch feeling lucky. It is an axe you break down doors with in an emergency. Hope should shove you out the door, because it will take everything you have to steer the future away from endless war, from the annihilation of the earth's treasures and grinding down of the poor and marginal. To hope is to give yourself to the future, and that commitment to the future is what makes the present inhabitable. Just one final thought, she says, joy doesn't betray but sustains activism, and when you face a politics that aspires to make you fearful, alienated and isolated, joy is a fine act of insurrection. So I wish us all a joy-filled insurrectionist week, and by its end, I hope you'll have learned from each other and maybe found yourselves a new or at least an expanded tribe, if you like, a family. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Eleanor. And for those of you who may be new to Galway, it's also known as the City of Tribes, so I think that was partly the references there. So family and tribes can be a theme throughout the week. So we're going to hand over now to another colleague from the Centre for Disability Law and Policy, who some of you may already have met this morning, Dr. Katrina Mullally. Katrina is going to go through a little bit of the programme throughout the week and explain the arrangements and the various sessions. And just to give you a brief introduction to Katrina, her profile is in the programme, but just to highlight a few points around Katrina's work. Katrina is a lecturer here at the Centre for Disability Law and Policy, has also been coordinating the master's programme, the specialised master's programme in international and comparative disability law and policy. And Katrina has completed a doctoral work, a PhD, focusing in particular on empowering children and young people and access to justice assessment of mental health law and policy. She was also previously a researcher with the Law Reform Commission here in Ireland and has been a visiting scholar at Harvard Law School's Project on Disability. She's also a board member of EPIC, which is the organisation working on empowering young people in care and advocating for the rights of children and young people who are separated from their families through the Irish care system. She also volunteers for Children at Risk Ireland as a forensic accompaniment officer in the Child and Adolescent Sexual Assault Treatment Services. Katrina has also contributed to research with the EU Fundamental Rights Agency and at national level for the Academic Network of European Disability Experts. And in April 2018, Katrina was appointed to a panel of research and policy specialists on matters relating to children's rights and welfare at the Ombudsman for Children's Office here in Ireland. Thank you, Katrina.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Siobhan, for the introduction. You're all very welcome to Galway and to the centre. It's a great pleasure to welcome you here to Galway, being an original Galway girl, and this is my city and my home, and I hope you have a great time while you're here, and I hope you get to go out beyond the university and into the city and experience the culture that I believe is a great culture here in Galway. So it is my role to introduce you to our summer disability law summer programme, but first just some housekeeping. You will find most of this information in your booklets that you received at registration, but I just want to bring you through some important points. So if you have any questions or need assistance, you will see many of the team of the CDLP staff and our volunteers in purple t-shirts and with green lanyards. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask any of them. We have a number of fire exits here. One is here to my right. There's 2 at the back of this auditorium. And there are 6 exits on the ground floor and 4 emergency exits on the first floor and the second floor. And you generally see these with the green man running or walking. But if you do need assistance in relation to evacuation from the building, we do have a personal evacuation table outside, so please do go and speak to somebody if you need to have assistance in evacuating the building. We have accessible bathrooms on all of the floors within this building. There is a portable hoist which can be used on the ground floor and a fixed hoist in the changing room on the bathroom on the second floor, which I think is the most accessible bathroom. We have a live captioning feed that's available each day. The link is up here, the stream captioning link. So you can link into that on your laptops, for example, if that's easier for you to see the captioning. There is a registration desk that you will all have seen when you come into this building and into the foyer. So if you have any questions, that will be a manned registration desk throughout the week. So if you have any questions or you need any assistance, that would be your first protocol, I think, to go to. There will be photos taken throughout the week. So if you don't want your photo taken, please inform somebody at the registration desk, and they will give you a different colour lanyard to ensure that your photo is not taken. Also, if you just stand outside of stand to the side if any photos are being taken. We do have a quiet room, which is on the ground floor, G002, and I believe there will be another quiet room that the room number will be allocated, and you'll get that room number at the registration desk if you ask. Okay, so that's mainly, I think, the housekeeping. There's a number of social events before I introduce you to the programme that I would just like to highlight that will be happening throughout the week. So we have Craftivism that Emma will introduce to you later, and that's happening from Monday to Thursday, and she'll talk about that later to you. We have an exhibition also that is running out in the foyer, and it's running from Monday to Thursday, but there will be a clear space on Tuesday for you to experience the exhibition. We also have a poster presentation on Tuesday evening, so at the end of our day on Tuesday evening there's a poster presentation, and that's accompanied by a wine reception, and we also have a barbecue in the Galmont Hotel on Wednesday. So I hope that you all have the opportunity, as well as coming in here and listening to all of the excellent conversations and stories, hopefully that will be shared over the week, to have the opportunity to enjoy the social events also. There is a group photo that is taken every year of all the participants, and that's going to happen on Tuesday just before lunch. Okay? And I believe it's going to happen outside in the foyer. So, to introduce you to our summer programme, it is a great honour for me and privilege to introduce you to the 11th International Disability Law Summer School. I've been here for many years as a PhD student as well, wearing the purple t-shirts. I'm very proud to support this excellent gathering of so many people from all around the world who are committed to moving rights forward for persons with disabilities. So as you know, this year we were going to focus on persons with disabilities and the right to family life. And I think that we have put together a very exciting and packed programme covering very important topics related to the right to family life of persons with disabilities. We're very fortunate to have a very wide range of speakers and delegates from very diverse backgrounds and coming from across the global north and the global south to discuss different perspectives around what the right to family life means. Our aim is to introduce the profound intersections that exist around the right to family life for both the disability community and the LGBTQI community, a thread that we have woven throughout this week's programme with the purpose really of finding common cause and exploring how solidarity can be built across a wide range of social movements to address the particular challenges that are faced by persons with disabilities in exercising their right to family life. And these will include experiences from the LGBTQI community, adopted persons, reproductive justice advocates, child and youth rights advocates, migrants and refugees, and ethnic minorities. So throughout the week we will explore all of the rights related to family life of persons with disabilities, some of them whom Eleanor have already mentioned, such as the right to form a family, the right to reproductive autonomy, the right to marry and enter civil partnerships, the rights of disabled children not to be separated from their parents, and the rights of persons with disabilities as parents. So it is our hope that these issues will be the focus of many stories that we will hear this week, stories about advocacy in the face of opposition, and stories also about how communities can come together and respond to these types of challenges that we will be speaking about. So the summer school will also cover topics that have been traditionally covered over the years. So today, for example, you will be introduced to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. We will also look at human rights monitoring of state parties' obligations. And then we will talk about topics that are generally looked at in this summer school, such as legal capacity and independent living, but with particular focus on their relationship with the right to family life. We'll also look at other topics which are, you'll see if you look at your programme, that are scheduled throughout the week, such as belonging to families and communities, on sexual and reproductive rights. We will also hear insights from the lived experience of children and young people with disabilities, and also from disabled parents. We'll also explore the experiences that people have had around the processes of fostering, adoption and surrogacy. So the purpose, I think, of the summer school has always been to equip participants with the insights and the skills necessary to go forward and translate the rights of the Convention into meaningful reform for persons with disabilities. So it is our aim to spur participants, or all of us here, to think in a more inclusive way about the identities and contexts of people who face barriers in exercising their right to family life, and how we can ensure the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms, but not only in terms of anti-discrimination legislation, but also in terms of policies that promote human rights across a range of different environments and contexts. So the programme is designed to be highly interactive. There will be plenty of time for questions and answers that have been built into the programme. So at the end of every session, there will be a lot of time for question and answers. And we hope to hear from the wealth of knowledge of all of the participants here throughout the week. So please do ask your questions when you have the opportunities in the question and answer session. We also have organised a MOOC court competition, so just to mention that will take place on Friday. The MOOC court provides participants with the opportunity to really apply the knowledge and the expertise that you've learned throughout the week into a MOOC court competition on Friday. So you're going to hear more about that later today. It's scheduled into the programme. So finally, I'm very happy and excited to be welcoming you all here. We hope that you do have a very thought-provoking and inspiring week where we can all learn together and hopefully take the knowledge with us as we go forward, committed to taking action for positive change around the right to life for persons with disabilities. So thank you.